Our film today begins in a distant place, deep in the ocean, where we see a dolphin named Snowball playing with a small squid. After a while, Snowball leaves the squid and rises to the surface to breathe air. When he returns to continue playing with the squid, he cannot find it. At that moment, he notices a strangely shaped cave. Since Snowball is very curious, he decides to approach the cave and enter it to explore, amazed by what he sees. Suddenly, a fierce and terrifying octopus appears. Snowball becomes frightened and quickly swims away to escape. However, the octopus traps him, stops him, and continues to bother him with its tentacles, telling him that according to the ocean's law, he is forbidden to enter this area. Snowball replies that he was just playing and apologizes for what happened, explaining that he needs to go to the surface to breathe. Unfortunately, the octopus grabs Snowball and prevents him, wanting to kill him. Snowball becomes terrified and calls for his mother to come and help him. As soon as the mother arrives, the octopus becomes scared, releases Snowball, and flees. Then Snowball goes to his mother, who reminds him that she had warned him not to approach this area, informing him that it is called the Black Valley and is very dangerous. Meanwhile, the octopus takes advantage of their absence, cuts the chain holding a group of pipes, causing them to fall on them. The mother is shocked and takes Snowball, swimming quickly. She enters one of the pipes to exit from the other side, but unfortunately, the pipe falls amid a group of rocks. At that moment, Snowball is the only one who manages to get out. When the mother notices that he needs to breathe, she creates bubbles of air for him and asks him to go to the surface quickly. Snowball rushes, but before reaching the surface, the octopus blocks his way because it hates marine creatures that breathe air. Suddenly, a giant shell falls into the ocean, taking the octopus with it to the depths. Due to this shell falling, Snowball's mother manages to exit the pipe and starts searching for Snowball, very worried about him. At that moment, Snowball appears again and goes to her to reassure her. He shows her a small child and tells her that he fell with the giant shell. When the mother notices that the child wants to breathe, she takes him and quickly rises to the surface. After a while, we go to a meeting attended by a large group of fish. There, Snowball shows them the child and tells them what happened. Everyone present is surprised by the child's appearance and understands that he may pose a danger to them. So Snowball reassures them, saying that he found him in the giant shell that fell in the Black Valley. Once the fish hear that, they become very frightened because the evil octopus has been living there for a long time. While they are talking, Snowball notices the child needs to breathe, so he takes him and goes up to the surface quickly to let him get enough oxygen. At that moment, an old turtle appears, and we understand that he is the leader of the fish. We learn that he came to determine the child's fate. When Snowball returns to the meeting, he says that the child might be a type of starfish, but none of the fish are convinced by his words. They consider the child dangerous because he does not resemble any marine creature they have seen before. At that moment, the child leaves Snowball and approaches the turtle, who sympathizes with him and treats him with great kindness afterwards. The turtle gives him to Snowball's mother for safekeeping because he poses no threat to them, and he tells her that the child will always need to breathe like dolphins. Snowball is very happy and plays with the child, spending wonderful times together. When they go to sleep, the mother surrounds them with a bubble of air. After some time, we see Snowball playing with the child, and they spend very beautiful times together. We notice that as they play, the child is exposed to great dangers, so Snowball's mother always watches over them and protects them. Many days pass, and the child grows. We learn that they named him Dolphy. We see him and Snowball spending all their time together, always going to the broken dock in the middle of the ocean. One day, Dolphy notices that he does not have fins like Snowball. He goes to the dock and asks Snowball why he is different and why he does not have fins or a tail like him. At that moment, Snowball confesses the truth. He is not a dolphin at all. He tells him that he found him years ago in the giant shell that fell in the Black Valley. Dolphy is surprised and says he always felt different from all marine creatures. Snowball becomes nervous and asks him not to tell anyone about this because his mother would be upset if she knew. Despite this, they both set off toward the Black Valley. There, they see the giant shell, which turns out to be the wreckage of a plane. Dolphy approaches it and manages to open the door. He and Snowball enter, but the octopus suddenly emerges from the door without their noticing. Dolphy and Snowball continue to explore the place, and by chance, Dolphy sees a necklace with the picture of a human woman. He takes it and tells Snowball that the creature in the picture looks very much like him and might be his mother. He decides to keep the necklace, and joy appears on his face. Soon after, Dolphy and Snowball are surprised to see glowing plankton that they begin eating one after another happily, until they lose focus. When they regain consciousness, they find themselves back home. They keep talking about the plankton they found in the Black Valley, and how delicious it was. The surprise is that the mother is behind them, shocked when she hears them. She scolds them for going to the Black Valley, despite her warnings. Dolphy gets angry and upset because she hid from him the truth that she is not his mother. He tells her he must return to the giant shell. He leaves her and walks away. Snowball rushes after him until they reach the Black Valley, which shows sharp, dangerous plants that keep growing. Suddenly, the mother also arrives and tells them to stay there. She informs them that she will enter the plane wreck to look for the human woman in the picture. Dolphy thanks her and apologizes for his bad behavior. She smiles at him, lets him go, and enters the wreck. Once the mother enters the plane, the octopus closes the door on her. Suddenly, the plants grow bigger and trap Dolphy and Snowball, who dive to warn the mother but find her trapped. Dolphy cannot open the door despite trying until he loses consciousness due to lack of oxygen. Then, the mother asks Snowball to take Dolphy and flee quickly. Snowball takes Dolphy and speeds through the plants toward the surface. After a while, he manages to rescue Dolphy, and they both go to the turtle to ask for help in saving their mother. The turtle decides to help and asks the other fish to join them. Suddenly, the octopus arrives, now larger and more terrifying. He attacks Snowball, knocking him to the ground. Dolphy rushes to help him, while the octopus attacks the other fish and spreads its ink in the area. When the fish breathe it, the octopus gains control over them. He grabs the turtle and tells him that once, a giant shell fell on him, trapping him inside with no way out. Since there was no food around, he fed on the glowing plankton, which made him grow huge. Anyone who breathes his ink comes under his control. They realized that it was because of Dolphy and Snowball that he was able to escape the shell. At that moment, Dolphy and Snowball decide to attack him. Dolphy uses the ink spreading everywhere to approach the octopus. Meanwhile, the octopus continues torturing the turtle, making Snowball furious. Snowball charges at him but is easily caught. Dolphy takes advantage of the octopus distraction and bites his tentacles, but the octopus lifts him, mocks him, and says he is not one of them. He also claims the dolphin trapped in the plane is not his mother. He tells them that if they want to find his real mother, they must go to land. At that moment, a boat passes above them. The octopus orders the fish to take Dolphy toward the boat so that humans can find him. The octopus laughs wickedly. After a while, we see the boat near the shore. A strange man named Marfred arrives and checks on Dolphy, who is unconscious. He asks the sailors how the boy is still alive, and they tell him the important thing is that he is okay. Marfred takes the boat and leaves. When Dolphy wakes up, he is scared of Marfred and tries to sneak away quietly to return to the ocean. However, he finds it difficult to walk. Marfred wakes up and tries to stop him, but accidentally falls. Dolphy crawls on the sand until he reaches a place where many dolphins are stranded on the beach. Dolphy gets scared when he sees them and looks for Snowball. He finds him among them and goes to check on him. Dolphy cries, and fortunately, Snowball is still alive. When Dolphy learns this, he hugs him happily. He asks why all the dolphins are on the beach, and Snowball explains that they fled because they fear the octopus, who managed to control all the fish. When they learn that their mother died, Dolphy becomes very sad, and they both continue crying. Marfred sees everything that happened and is surprised that Dolphy can talk to dolphins. He asks how he does that. Dolphy fears Marfred and pushes Snowball to return to the ocean, but he faces difficulty because of the sand. Marfred decides to help them, pulls Snowball by his tail, and takes him back to the ocean. Before Dolphy and Snowball swim away, Marfred shows Dolphy the necklace and tells him he knows where his mother is and can take him to her. Dolphy goes, hugs Snowball, and tells him he must find his mother. Snowball understands his situation, bids him farewell, and they part ways. Elsewhere, we see an old ship with a group of sailors. Marfred enters the ship and talks to the leader, Majid, telling him he found an amphibious boy who can swim very skillfully. Everyone present mocks and ridicules him. Majid gets an idea to exploit Marfred by saying the boy can participate in a pearl hunting competition. Marfred likes the idea. Later, we see Dolphy, who struggles to walk and discovers the door locked on him. A strange woman comes with her daughter. Surprised by Dolphy's presence, we learn she is Marfred's wife, wondering why her husband is not at his calf, saying that since his ship sank, he has been trying to buy a new one. Then, the wife takes her daughter and leaves. Dolphy hears her words behind the door and decides to escape quickly through the window. We move to the village in front of the ocean, where Dolphy walks through the market. Whenever he sees a woman, he calls her my mother. Suddenly, he hears a cry for help and rushes to the source, finding a fish who asks him to save her and release her before humans kill her, as they did with other fish. Suddenly, the seller sees Dolphy and shouts for people, saying there is a thief. Dolphy becomes scared, takes the fish tank, and runs quickly through the market trying to escape the sellers chasing him. He manages to throw the fish, slips under a cart, runs, jumps in the air, and catches the fish again. Unfortunately, the sellers surround him, so he throws the fish into the air to fall into the ocean, but the fish falls back into the tank and cannot get out. At that moment, Marford's wife goes to Majid and asks why he is there. Suddenly, the sellers who caught Dolphy arrive and tell Marford that his son was stealing fish from the market. Marford's wife is shocked by this. After a while, Marford shaves Dolphy and tells his wife that the boy swims skillfully like dolphins. He explains that if he wins the pearl hunting competition, he will be able to buy a new ship. His wife gets upset by Dolphy's hairstyle story and returns him to his natural appearance, realizing that her husband is just exploiting him. Marford tells her that he knows where the boy's father is, and that after the competition, he will take him to him. Days pass, and we see Dolphy living with Marford, his wife, and their daughter, looking very happy. After a while, Marford buys a small boat and takes Dolphy to the ocean to train him in gathering pearls. But Dolphy refuses to help. At sunset, we see the old sailor again, surprised to find Dolphy and Marford fishing near his tower. He hears Marford promising Dolphy that when he wins the competition, he will take him to the Red Island where his mother lives, but he does not know if she is still alive or dead. Dolphy stands on the edge, looks at the necklace, then jumps into the ocean, rushing to Snowball. He tells him that if he helps Marford win the competition, he will take him to his mother. Snowball is happy and decides to help Dolphy in the competition. On the second day, they began training together to collect oysters, and the days passed as they practiced, while Marford continued to beat his drums. On the day of the competition, Majid's enormous ship arrived and anchored beside Marford's small boat. At once, all the sailors burst into laughter, mocking him mercilessly. Then Majid proudly introduced his contestants. The first was nicknamed the Giant, the second the Crab, the third the Frog, and the last one, feared by all, was called Hercules for his immense strength. When Dolphy laid eyes on these competitors, he was utterly shocked. Quickly, he whistled toward the ocean, signaling Snowball to make sure he was there to help. Soon as the competition began, the four rivals leapt into the sea and plunged into the depths. Dolphy dove after them, swimming swiftly through the waves. The contestants began gathering oysters one by one, but Hercules and the Giant froze in disbelief when they saw Dolphy diving into the dreaded Black Valley. Down in the same place, a diver was searching for something unknown. Suddenly, he was stunned by the sight of Dolphy and Snowball plunging into the deepest parts of the sea. By misfortune, Dolphy's necklace. Their shells were strange, almost otherworldly. Back above, the contestants kept gathering more, and Majid, thrilled by the excitement, raised the stakes. He declared to Marford, "If Dolphy can gather more oysters, I will give you my ship, but if he fails, I will take your calf." Confident in Dolphy, Marford agreed without hesitation. At last, the competition ended. Marford beat his drums, and upon hearing the sound, Dolphy carried his oysters up to the surface. Overjoyed, Marford rushed to his boat, only to be struck with disappointment. Dolphy had brought back only a small handful. Majid burst out laughing, mocking him cruelly, and proclaimed that Marford had lost his calf. With smug satisfaction, he turned and left. Heartbroken, Marford sank into despair. But then Dolphy revealed his secret. Inside each oyster was a rare, radiant pearl. Marford's eyes widened with astonishment. There were so many, he cried out in joy that at last he would be rich enough to buy more than 10 ships with these treasures. Suddenly, iron hooks clattered onto his boat. Terrified, Marford panicked and swallowed the pearls in haste. In that instant, he was struck from behind and lost consciousness as his boat was dragged away into the distance. When Marford awoke, he found himself bound aboard a ship, facing 3 pirate women. They demanded to know where the pearls were, but he refused to tell them. At that moment, Dolphy spoke up, revealing that Marford had swallowed them all. Meanwhile, Snowball observed the pirate ship from afar, puzzled when he noticed the mysterious diver climbing out of the sea and hiding inside Marford's boat. The pirates, determined to retrieve the pearls, devised a plan. One of them offered Marford a strange fruit, commanding him to eat it so he would be forced to relieve himself. Fearful they might kill him, Marford obeyed. As they began singing and dancing in celebration, their eyes widened in shock. Marford knew their song. It was a song known only to 4 people in the entire world. Startled and suspicious, they tied him up tighter, blindfolded him, and decided to take him to their leader. After a while, they arrive at a certain island, and the surprise is that Marford recognizes it immediately. It is the Red Island, and he knows every detail about it without ever having seen it before. On the other side, we see the sailor, and it is revealed that he is the same diver who had been searching for something in the ocean. We then return to the three pirates, where Dolphy and Marford walk ahead of them. As soon as they enter a certain cave, they encounter an old woman named Zar. Zar is astonished to see Marford and asks why he has been absent for so long, but he interrupts her, urgently asking if Nahid is still alive. Zar tells him that Nahid is still in a coma, doing nothing but weeping. At that moment, Dolphy wanders off to explore and descends deeper until he reaches Nahid, who lies surrounded by a lake of tears. There, he discovers the shocking truth. Nahid is his real mother, the very same woman from the photograph. Later, Dolphy sits with the pirates, and Zar explains that it was Marford who saved his mother 10 years ago and brought her to this place in an attempt to heal her. Marford then recalls his memories, remembering the day when the airplane's engine exploded and crashed into his ship, destroying it. Zar then explains to Dolphy that his mother's recovery is nearly impossible, for no treatment can wake her. However, her tears and her blood contain a cure powerful enough to eliminate any poison. Suddenly, the sailor interrupts, claiming that he knows of an antidote capable of saving Nahid, hidden inside the sunken airplane. He tells them that he has spent years searching for it at the bottom of the ocean, and that no one can reach it except Dolphy with the help of his dolphin friend. Zar becomes furious, declaring that they will never risk Dolphy's life under any circumstances. Everyone refuses, troubled by the sailor's presence among them. At that moment, Marford agrees with Zar, unwilling to expose Dolphy to such danger. Yet Dolphy's heart is set on saving his mother that night. While everyone is asleep, he secretly leaves with the sailor. Meanwhile, Marford's wife grows worried about his absence, and one of the fishermen suggests that he may have gone to the sailor's tower. Meanwhile, Dolphy leads the sailor to the ruined harbor in the middle of the ocean, where he discovers that the airplane has sunk into the Black Valley. He then seeks out Snowball and tells him that he has found his mother, and that to save her, he must retrieve the antidote from the plane. Snowball agrees, and the two dive together. On the way, they check on the turtle, who is still alive but terribly exhausted. She apologizes for being unable to help them and warns them about the toxic ink, reminding them that any creature who inhales it will fall under the octopus control. Snowball thanks her, and they continue on their way. Soon, they enter a cave that leads them into the Black Valley. Suddenly, an unusual and furious crab appears. Introducing himself as the chief of guards, he orders his followers to seize them. In that instant, Dolphy raises his seashell and shouts to the other crabs, "Whoever wants to be the chief, take this shell." He throws it into their midst, and as they scramble over it, he and Snowball escape unharmed. After a while, they finally reach the terrifying Black Valley, where all the fish appear aggressive and hostile. Quickly, they hide themselves in the ink without inhaling it and watch as the octopus sings. The fish around him lose their will, circling him in a trance, until he devours one of them. That very moment, Dolphy and Snowball manage to slip past and reach the airplane. They enter it, following the glowing plankton that flow from the antidote. Dolphy seizes it and rushes back to the sailor, but as soon as the sailor takes it, he lets out an evil laugh and strikes Dolphy to stop him from climbing back into the boat. Dolphy calls out for Snowball, who rushes in, lifts him, and whirls around the boat at great speed. In a sudden move, Dolphy uses Snowball's momentum to leap and attack the sailor, causing the antidote to slip from his grasp. But the sailor shoves him violently, and his fake beard falls away. Seizing the antidote again, the sailor sneers at Dolphy, declaring that he knows everything about his father and mother before, beginning to reveal the story of the past. On the other side, we see Marford's wife exploring the sailor's tower. Meanwhile, the sailor continues speaking with Dolphy, revealing a shocking truth. Dolphy's parents were the ones who invented the antidote. They had tested it on fish, which grew to enormous sizes but became dangerously aggressive. This experiment caused Dolphy's father's death. To keep it safe from evil hands, Dolphy's mother took the antidote away, but the sailor decided to launch a missile at their plane, causing it to crash. Dolphy is devastated, realizing that the sailor was the very reason behind all the tragedies that destroyed his family. Tears stream down his face. Mocking him, the sailor throws a few drops of the antidote into the ocean and bursts into sinister laughter. Enraged, Dolphy attacks, but the sailor leaps onto the octopus, which has now grown monstrous in size thanks to the antidote. The sailor declares that he can now control the octopus, which obeys his every command and destroys the boat. As Dolphy tries to escape, the sailor aims an arrow at him, ready to kill, but suddenly Snowball appears, saving Dolphy just in time and rushing him away. Unfortunately, Snowball has inhaled some of the octopus toxic ink and begins to weaken. At the same time, we return to Marford and the pirates, who realize with fury that the sailor has drained the ship's fuel to stop them from chasing him. Their worry for Dolphy grows. Soon, Dolphy reaches the island with an exhausted Snowball. Zar immediately orders one of her followers to bring Nahid's tears. Dolphy warns them that the sailor and the octopus are planning to dominate the ocean with the antidote. Zar calms him, explaining that his mother's tears can cure poisons, and that the same healing power also flows in Dolphy's own blood. When the tears arrive, Zar gives some to Snowball, who instantly recovers. The group then gathers to form a plan. They must distract the octopus and keep it from crossing the strait near the island. As soon as the waters begin turning black, they open a channel to let Nahid's tears flow into the sea. Determined to face the octopus himself, Dolphy dives into the ocean with Snowball. Meanwhile, Marford is stunned when his wife arrives with the villagers on a large ship to help. Dolphy and Snowball are then joined by the turtle and the dolphins, all ready to fight. On the opposite side, the sailor appears with the octopus and his army of controlled fish. Fierce battle begins. Snowball swims swiftly, dodging the pursuing fish, then unleashes a burst of electricity that strikes both the octopus and the sailor. The turtle and the dolphins take on the shark, biting and striking it, while a massive whale creates towering waves, spreading the healing tears across the sea. Dolphy and Snowball lure the octopus and the fish toward the treated waters. The sailor, sensing a trap, orders the octopus to stop just in time. Still, many of the fish swim into the healing water, and upon breathing it, regain their freedom. Everyone rejoices. But the sailor rages, feeding the octopus even more antidote to grow stronger and lead it away. Then Dolphy has an idea. He signals to the turtle that he and Snowball will distract the octopus, giving her the chance to trick it into swallowing the antidote with the rest of the fish. Dolphy and Snowball rush toward the giant octopus, dodging its tentacles. The turtle seizes the moment, ordering the shark to bite the octopus, forcing its mouth open. Just before swallowing the antidote, the octopus snaps its jaws shut, hurling Dolphy and Snowball away. Unfortunately, the octopus manages to capture them both, while the sailor prepares to finish them off, but Marford and the villagers intervene, stabbing and trapping the monster in nets. Enraged, the sailor injects the octopus with even more antidote, causing it to grow to an unimaginable size. Terrified, everyone retreats. Suddenly, the colossal octopus rises from the ocean, towering above the ships, and smashes the human's vessel with ease. No one dares face it. With newfound strength, it seizes the sailor and swallows him along with the antidote before diving back into the depths, heading straight for the island. Evarione is left in shock, not knowing what to do. Then lightning strikes the fuel spilled across the water, setting the sea ablaze and trapping them in a ring of fire. The dolphins rush in to save them, guiding them away. Dolphy, however, breaks down in tears upon seeing the octopus climb onto the island itself. He blames himself for everything. Then, as his nose begins to bleed, he suddenly remembers his blood contains the cure. An idea sparks. He tells Snowball to take him to the whale. The whale lifts Dolphy onto its back, then launches him skyward with a powerful spout. The octopus spots him and opens its massive jaws to devour him. At that very moment, Dolphy's nose bleeds again, and rain begins to fall from the sky. We don't know exactly what happens next, but the people cheer in relief, certain that Dolphy has defeated the monster. When they return to the island, sorrow fills the air. Dolphy had sacrificed himself to save them all. Determined, Marford takes a boat to search for him in the ocean. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Black Valley, Dolphy sinks unconscious, moments from death. Suddenly, glowing stars surround him, and then his mother appears. She gently holds him, entrusts him to Snowball, and vanishes into the light. Snowball rushes Dolphy to the surface, where Marford pulls him onto the boat and desperately tries to revive him. At last, Dolphy gasps for air alive once more. Marford and Snowball rejoice, for Dolphy is still alive, and at that moment, all the villagers celebrate him. After some time, we see Marford telling the villagers about Dolphy, who managed to defeat the giant octopus and save them all. Then we see Dolphy and Snowball spending their time together, enjoying themselves as usual in the ocean, which has once again become pure and clear. On the other hand, we see the octopus, still alive, but return to his natural form and small size, while the crab and his followers keep chasing him. At last, Dolphy succeeds in saving the ocean after going through a dangerous journey to protect all the fish from harm. Dear friends, do not forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel so you will be the first to receive every new exciting story and adventure. The best is yet to come, and what awaits you will be far greater than what you have already seen.